So with everything that Xbox is doing so far on Microsoft, does it mean that they have, no interest in expanding their console market? Does it mean that, to them, if they're gonna go ahead and put Steam, do a hybrid Xbox or whatever it is, does this mean that, at the end of the day, just go ahead and get a PC, and the value proposition and so on and so forth? This is coming from a conversation that's going on the Video Game Fight School channel. Shout out to Blind King for actually triggering this conversation and having a lot of people go ahead and, talk about things and respond. Now, here's the thing. My stance is that you get a gaming PC. You get the benefits of pretty much everything. The investment is minimal because the turn of the console generation is coming and a gaming PC will more than likely serve you well. If Xbox goes ahead and gives a PC layer, then they're cornering the PC market. They're trying to stop you from going full-blown PC. If you've thought about that, then you look at it and say, that's probably what they're trying to do. They can see videos like Dog Dark, right? They can see videos like mine where I'm like, hey, Xbox is, decent, but a gaming PC just is greater. And they're like, well, why would we let these, content creators come out here and try to talk our own audiences into moving to another platform that we literally, built a foundation operating system wise. We basically set majority of the rules on how this stuff actually works. Why not just bring it to our own ecosystem? Has anybody thought about that particular possibility that they want to ensure that they hedge those who like Xbox by giving them a playground, right? That they still have direct access to that customer base, and that customer base doesn't go get lost in Steam, Epic, and GOG and freaking emulation and everything else. You know what I mean? So think about it from that perspective. I've seen a lot of people say, oh, well, but what if they bring Steam? They're going to lose the 30%. Well, again, remember Dark Phil, right? Phil Spencer comes out. He's, doing his interview saying, we want gamers to play everywhere. I don't want to do anything slimy. We lost the console war. And he's just, talking and he's so mild-mannered. And then he goes and sits down in a board meeting and then he turns to Dark Phil. And then they're like, Dark Phil, it appears that these YouTubers are telling our players that they got Game Pass on PC. One of them is very notorious. His name is VG Fight School. There's another one that's now new. His name is Doc Dark. He got a Walmart PC and somebody anonymously built him a random $2,000 PC. And he's now claiming he's a PC gamer. We have to do something about it. And all the people around are like, well, Dark Phil, we kind of own PC in the software side. And he replies, Dark Phil, we can actually just give Windows to our Xbox players. Oh, that's a great idea. And they're like, so how are we going to do it? Then they go meet Aaron, the hardware guy, right? That's his name. The guy with the beard. He's into the guy that's in charge of like hardware. And they're like, hey, Aaron, Dark Phil wants to see you. And Aaron comes out. He's like, hey, Dark Phil, I've been cooking something up. What have you been cooking? Dark Phil says. And Aaron's like, hey, why don't we innovate our hardware in a way that actually, rocks and such? Okay, what have you been doing? Then he shows him the secret sauce. We don't know the secret sauce, but we got a sliver of it with, ASUS coming out with some kind of a project Canon, right? And then Miss Bond shows up and says, Phil, this is going to be the way to go. We need to make sure that we can leverage everything as Xbox first and then make sure that people who are in the Xbox ecosystem feels like they have access to everything that's out there. All right, go ahead and do it. And bam, that's where we are. Xbox doesn't want you to leave. They know that the inevitable is going to happen, though, that you're going to eventually go and say, I want more value. That's why they're giving you a lot of value right now. They're giving you a lot. Like, as an Xbox owner, you're swimming in titles, you're swimming in deals, you're swimming in games, but there's the inevitable of I want more value. They're giving you entitlements across the board. They're giving you a PC version of a game that you buy on Xbox that belongs to them. What is the outcome of that? What is the outcome of that? They want the interplay where you, as the console gamer, the day you decide that I'm going to go PC, you already have those games, but they also want to be in charge of that particular possibility that if you're going to have a PC, we might as well make it I mean, is anybody, if you look at this from that particular depth, you realize what Xbox is actually trying to play out here. This is not a drill. This is literally what they're gunning for. They really, really do want to, take hold of their customer base wherever their customer base is. So you buy it. So you just bought a TV. Great. Xbox. So you bought a Fire Stick. 4K. Great. Xbox. You bought a PC. Xbox. You bought a printer. Is that right? Xbox. Did you buy a pack of cereal? Xbox. This particular strategy, which when they laughed at this strategy, when this PlayStation fanboys laughed at the Xbox Everywhere strategy, I facepalmed so hard and I said to myself, I cannot believe how this console war has made individuals so myopic that their hubris would basically, exude from a coalition of podcasters versus a $3 trillion company that eats analysis for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with an army of analysts, lawyers, accountants, testers, gamers, scientists, research and development. I mean, the amount of finding power that a company like that has, if the leadership is humble enough to actually listen to them, beats the entire coalition of podcasters and YouTubers everywhere. Yet, the PlayStation podcasters, they lost their minds thinking that somewhere, somehow, they understood that wall gardening your own ecosystem versus trying to get 3 billion players, is something that needed to be argued about, that the walled garden was going to be better for anybody. Can you imagine that? So Xbox is targeting the billion user, player base. That's what they're going for. They're like, we want to reach Phil Spencer. One of my audience members this morning was telling me, Brother Knowledge said, Phil started talking about reaching 2 billion gamers and has now recently started talking about reaching 3 billion gamers. With this strategy, it just shows that Xbox is very committed to finding you anywhere you are and making you feel comfortable. The console player on Xbox, in many cases, will talk about, okay, I want to get a gaming PC or whatever it is, or maybe in some cases, or I don't know how it is. But instead of them to allow for that leak to happen, they want to make sure that, it's on their watch. They already run Windows anyways. They got partners that are already making Windows-based, hardware. Why not leverage those relationships? Lenovo, if they say they want to, or maybe they want to do their own thing. Asus is open to the, to the plot, which is fine. All they need is one. Before you know, Dell's going to be doing it and HP is going to be doing it. At that point, their tentacles are everywhere when it comes to anybody's gaming. And then if you refuse and say, I want to be on PlayStation, then, well, it's fine. You bought a PlayStation, didn't you? Xbox. Did you buy a Nintendo Switch? Xbox. This is how Microsoft intends to run their business. And so, as many people may say, it seems like they're leaving the console business or whatever it is. No, they're not going to leave the console business. They know that there are people who want consoles. They know that. But then those that want to leave, they want to make sure that, they're actually in control of that, aspect of the whole thing. Think about it. Thanks for watching the video. Peace out.